There's this old story, and I say story because nobody actually knows if it's true, about a mathematician who showed a king a chessboard. The mathematician said, "Your Majesty, I don't want gold. I don't want land. Just put 1 grain of rice on the first square of the chessboard, then 2 on the second, 4 on the third. Keep doubling. That's all I want." The king laughed. Seemed like a terrible deal for the mathematician. The king stopped laughing around square 32. By the time you get to square 64, you owe more rice than has ever existed on Earth. We're talking about 9 quintillion grains, like 18 zeros, enough to cover the entire surface of the planet in rice several meters deep. The king, in most versions of the story, has the mathematician executed, which, honestly, fair enough. But the mathematician's insight survives him. That insight is compounding. And it is, without exaggeration, one of the most powerful forces in the universe. Albert Einstein, probably apocryphal, supposedly called it the 8th wonder of the world. Whether he said it or not, the person who came up with that quote was not wrong. Okay, so what actually is it? Simple interest is when you earn money on your original amount. You put in $1,000 at 10% a year, you get $100 every year. Clean, predictable, boring. Compound interest is when you earn money on your original amount plus all the interest you've already earned. Year 1, you have $1,000. You earn 10%. Now you have $1,100. Year 2, you earn 10% on $1,100. Not on the original 1,000, on 1,100. So you earn $110. Now you have $1,210. Year 3, 10% on $1,210. You earn $121. Now you have $1,331. You see what's happening? The number you're multiplying keeps growing, so your earnings keep growing. Your interest earns interest. That interest earns interest, and on and on and on. In the early years, it looks like basically nothing, boring even. In the later years, it looks like a cheat code. Let me make this real with a person. 2 people, actually. Meet Maya. Maya is 22 years old. She just got her first real job. She's not making a ton, but she decides to put $200 a month into an investment account. She does this every month without fail, and the account earns around 8% a year, which is roughly what diversified stock market investments have historically averaged over long periods. She does this for 10 years, then stops. Never adds another dollar. Just lets it sit. Now meet Jake. Jake is 22 too. But Jake's in his 20s, you know? He's got things to do. He'll start investing when he's more settled. He starts at 32. And he puts in $200 a month too. He does it for 30 years, all the way until he's 62. He puts in way more money than Maya and for way longer. At 62, Maya has more money than Jake. Maya put in $24,000 total. Jake put in $72,000. Jake put in 3 times as much money and still lost. The difference is time. Maya's money had 40 years to compound. Jake's had 30. That 1 decade, those 10 years Maya got a head start, is worth more than the 20 extra years Jake contributed. This is the part where people's brains short-circuit a little, because it seems wrong. It seems like the amount you put in should matter more than when you start. But with compounding, time is the actual ingredient. Money is almost secondary. There's a number that makes this easier to think about. It's called the rule of 72. Take 72, divide it by your annual interest rate. The answer is roughly how many years it takes for your money to double. At 8% a year, 72 divided by 8 is 9. Your money doubles every 9 years. So $1,000 at age 22 becomes $2,000 at 31, $4,000 at 40, $8,000 at 49, $16,000 at 58, $32,000 at 67. It's the same $1,000. You never added to it. You just left it alone. That's why Maya beats Jake. Every dollar Maya put in at 22 had 4 or 5 doublings ahead of it. Every dollar Jake put in at 32 had 2 or 3. Same dollars, different runway. Now here's the part that nobody talks about enough because it's less fun but equally important. Compounding works in both directions. That 8% average return your investments might earn? Great. But debt compounds too. Credit card debt in America averages around 20-something% interest. Some cards go higher. The rule of 72 says, at 24%, debt doubles every 3 years. You borrow $5,000 on a credit card. You pay the minimum, which barely covers the interest. 3 years later, you owe $10,000. 3 years after that, $20,000. The credit card company is Maya. You're Jake. Except worse, because Jake at least got to keep his money. This is why the same people who tell you compound interest is a superpower will also tell you high-interest debt is a superpower working against you. Get rid of it. The math is the same. The direction is the problem. Okay, so why doesn't everyone just do this? Start early, let it compound, retire comfortable. A few reasons. 1. The early years are deeply unimpressive. You put $200 in for a year, and you have maybe $2,500. That's not nothing, but it doesn't feel like a superpower. It feels like pocket change. The exciting part is invisible until you're well into the process, and by then, you either started or you didn't. 2. Our brains are bad at exponential growth. We're wired for linear thinking. If something grows by 10 a year, we assume next year it'll be 10 more. But compounding doesn't work that way. It's not adding 10 every year. It's multiplying, which looks slow forever and then looks insane all at once. 3. Life happens. Emergency, medical bill, the car thing, the rent thing. And I'm not saying those aren't real. They are. The point isn't guilt. The point is, even small amounts started early matter enormously. $20 a month at 22 beats $200 a month at 42. That's not a motivational poster. That's arithmetic. The other thing compounding applies to that nobody puts in the finance videos, and this is where it gets a little philosophical, is skills. Every skill you build makes the next skill faster to build. Every book you read gives you more context for the next one. Every project you finish teaches you something that makes the next project better. It doesn't compound as cleanly as interest in a spreadsheet, but the shape is the same. Slow, then sudden. This is what people mean when they talk about investing in yourself. It's not a nice metaphor. It's structurally true. The returns on learning compound. Warren Buffett, the most famous investor alive, made almost all his money after 60, reads 5 to 6 hours a day, has his whole career. When people ask what his secret is, he points to his head and says something about compounding knowledge. The man built one of the largest fortunes in history, and he credits reading. So here's where I want to leave you. Compounding is not complicated. It is not a secret. Rich people didn't invent it to keep poor people out. The formula is literally in middle school textbooks. What makes it powerful is time. And time is the one thing you can't buy more of later. The chessboard king's problem wasn't that he didn't understand math. His problem was that he didn't take the first few squares seriously. Squares 1 through 30 looked like nothing. Square 64 was his entire kingdom. You're somewhere on the early squares. Whether you plant something on them is up to you.